Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and today we have a very special episode of How to Build. This is the series where I teach you guys how to build my For Honor characters, or characters from the campaign, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about a character that I've mentioned in passing from time to time, and a lot of you guys have wanted to know how to build him, so today we're talking about him. For those who are unaware, I have a Warden OC that I play a lot named Ruth, and she was a Valkenheim-born girl who was found, adopted, and raised by a warden from Ashfeld by the name of Stephen, also known as Stephen the Righteous Lion. And many people have asked, how do you build Stephen? What does Stephen look like? Who is Stephen? And I decided today I would go ahead and share with you guys how to build Stephen. It took a long time to decide how I wanted Stephen to look. I had to really think about it, really put some different stuff together, try some different outfits and designs, and today I finally have something that I think works. So today I'm going to teach you guys how to build Stephen, the Righteous Lion, and the father of Ruth. So let's get right into it. So first of all, you need the lion heart helm, the lion heart chest, and the executioner arms. So I'll repeat, the lion heart helm, the lion heart chest, and the executioner arms. I honestly feel like this gives him a very broad-shouldered look and very barrel-chested idea. I wanted him to sort of be very masculine in appearance, very hard, very stern, very fierce, and I thought that this worked very well. And honestly, I really like the Lionheart helm here. It creates this almost bearded look with the golden trim on the bottom. It makes him look like he has a beard, even though you can't see his face. And I always kind of saw him having a beard because I based you might think, oh, did you base him on Richard the Lionheart? Richard the Lionheart was a partial inspiration for Stephen, but I also took inspiration from Godfrey of Bouillon, who was described as having a very impressive beard. So I feel like Richard and Godfrey both went into creating Stephen. Now for the sword, you want the Guylane blade. I think I said that right. The Guylane blade. I like it because of that very fluid pattern that you see in the blade. It looks old and worn, but it also looks very well tempered. The Godwin hilt and the Divine Right Guard. So I'll repeat that. The Guylane blade, the Godwin hilt, and the Divine Right Guard. And when you create it, it should look something like that when he's holding it. And from a distance, it'll look something like that. I really like this design. It looks simple, but I've always been a person who really likes the simplicity of things. Now, some of you might be saying, now hold on, in Ruth's story, didn't it say that Ruth took her father's sword? Didn't she inherit his sword? Yes, she did. So if you wanted to give him Ruth's sword, if you wanted to give him his original sword, then that's a simple matter as well, because Ruth's sword that she carries is just a combination of the three pieces that make up the Winged Victory set. So if you want to give him Ruth's sword, which would have been his original sword, you can just give him the Winged Victory set. But since that's now Ruth's sword, I decided to mix things up and give him a different sword, but I really feel like this sword fits him as well. And I wanted to do the Divine Right Guard because of the angel look, and I feel like one thing that I wanted to get right with Stephen is the fact that he's not just a warden and a warrior, he's also a judge. He also takes things very seriously. He's righteous. He doesn't like to judge people based on where they come from, but rather what they do, which is why he executed a conqueror for wanting to kill a child. Because what I said in Ruth's story was the Lord Warden had laid down new rules of engagement for Ashfeld, where if there were children or innocents, the knights were not allowed to do harm to them. They had to let them live. When they found Ruth as a child, a conqueror wanted to kill her, and of course Stephen stopped him and said that trying to kill this girl violated the rules of Ashfeld and was unrighteous, and so it turned into a trial by combat, which Stephen won because this guy is based. Okay, he is a very, very seasoned and strong fighter, and so definitely wanted to get that across with Stephen. He's this guy who does not take crap from anybody. He takes his job very seriously, and he is a righteous judge, hence why he's called the Righteous Lion. All right, so for traits, he's got to be alternate 2. He's got to be a guy. But if you wanted to see what he looked like as like Ruth's mom, that's what he would look like. But we're staying guy here, so this is alternate 2. Skin color isn't going to matter. You're not going to be able to see the skin tone anyway, but I go with this one. Okay. So for the ornament, you probably already saw it, but is the Daubany's Shame. Now the reason I chose this one, I actually at first was going to do something like the crown, the obsidian crown, or maybe even the Iron Worm. But I thought about it, they look too much like a crown, and much like Godfrey of Bouillon, who he's heavily based on, Godfrey of Bouillon did not want to be king of Jerusalem. He didn't accept the title of king. He said that he didn't want it, so instead he took the title of Defender of the Holy Sepulchre. And I feel like that's the same way Stephen would be. Stephen is a lord of men. He leads soldiers into battle. He commands people, but he doesn't want the title of king. So I thought, I need something that gives off an austere and commanding presence, and yet still doesn't scream king. And I thought, honestly, the wings here that Daubeny has would work very well. So even though they are closely affiliated with Daubeny, I think this is the best you're going to get. Now, of course, you could go without the wings and it would still be fine, but I went with the wings to complete the look. So that is what I used. For material, it's pretty clear I used the gold, although I was tempted to use the white, which I think works really, really well. White is a good one. And tar works okay. But honestly, gold I think is the best you're going to get. I actually thought about using Cinnabar at one point, but that looks way too similar to one of Havoc's characters, and I didn't want to do that. So I went with gold on this one. And honestly, I think gold works really well. Look, I almost called him Stephen the Golden Lion. But then that sounds too much like Shiki, doesn't it? And for those of you who like One Piece, you'll get that reference. All right, now for the rest. All right, so for the head, no paint pattern, no symbol, but you want the Paisley 1 embossing. I did this because I wanted the faceplate to have some texture, but no coloring. I thought that there needed to be some degree of texture here to make it look like it's been ornamented really well. It looks very nice. It looks very clean, and it looks like something that you could just pick up and just run your fingers on and you would feel it, you know? I also thought about giving it the Paisley 2, but I thought that was a little bit too much, so I just went with the Paisley 1. For the right shoulder, absolutely nothing. I don't think anything needs to be added. You could add a paint pattern if you wanted to, but I don't think you really need to. I think it's fine as is, no point in a symbol. If you had to do anything, I would say give it the Paisley 2 embossing, because that does give it a nice texture look, but you honestly don't need to add anything to that. But just for fun, you can always add the Paisley 2 embossing, so I'll just add that there just to show you can do it and kind of show you what that looks like. But that is all you need to do with right shoulder. Left shoulder, you want the inverted triangle paint pattern. The inverted triangle paint pattern, which you get at Reputation 12, level 6. It gives this nice little colored look to it. Now, the one thing I don't like is I wish the paint pattern covered the whole shoulder plate, but it does not. It only covers the central part. It's not bad, and that's part of the reason it was so tough to pick a good paint pattern for the shoulder, because I'd like it to cover the whole plate, but it does not. So, still, looks good, but yes, you want the inverted triangle paint pattern, which you get at Reputation 12, level 6. Okay. For the back, you want the inverted triangle again. Reputation 12, level 6 is where you get this, and you want the Lion 1 embossing, which you get at Reputation 19, level 20. Like I said, he is the righteous lion, so I thought having a lion embossing on his back would make the most sense. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can add your own emblem if you want to, or if you really want to get crazy with it and go even further, you could go the lion, which is what you get at Reputation 5, level 2. You could do that as well. Or, there's one more here that we could do. Here it is. You can do the crown and laurel. You can do the crown and laurel, which you get at Reputation 29, level 15. Those are the two that I really recommend if you want to go a different symbol. But honestly, I feel like the lion embossing is just the best you're going to get, so I would stick with that. And then for standards, you want the Banner Line 1 paint pattern, which you get at Reputation 21, level 4. So Banner Line 1 paint pattern. And then the Royal Lion symbol, which you get right out the gate with level 1. So you will already have access to that. No excuse not to use it. So I would use that symbol definitely. All right. Now for the color. The color you want is Dusk of Wyverndale. I use the Dusk of Wyverndale paint color, which you get from Year 4 Season 1's Battle Pass. If you did not play Year 4 Season 1, you will not have access to this, but do not panic. There are other options. Another option includes the Father of Understanding, which you get from the Creed event. Another option is the Pirate Hearts, which you get from the Flying Lease Mythic outfit. And the last one I would recommend is, not Blood Gourd, it's Sun Wine. I'm trying to find it here so that you can get a good look at it. It's probably near the bottom, honestly. What you want is you want that good red, golden, black color. I feel like that goes very well with the gold overall. Here it is, Sunwine, which you get at Reputation 15, level 16. As you can see, it's another really good pattern, another really good combination. I honestly think this one is a very good alternative to what I have. And like, I'm almost tempted to just switch to it right now. It looks really, really good. I think the only reason I don't is because I like the way the lion embossing comes out in the yellow. But either way, you could do it either way, and it would still be just fine. Okay, so now you know how to build Steven. So, how do you adjust his feats and his abilities and stuff like that? Well, for some reason, it switched the feats back to what they were before, so I'll get to fix them with you. So first of all, we're going to give him the come at me for his first one, because Steven is this guy who presents himself as a challenge. He wants his enemies to notice him, not the innocent people behind him. You know, the whole idea is he wants to draw the attention of his enemies so that they don't focus on his allies, his friends, his comrades, and the innocent people. He said, I would rather die at your hands than you kill them. You know, he's the one who's going to say, y'all make a run for it. I'll be the rear guard. I'll hold them off. So I feel like come at me is a good one. Inspire's a good one. I would also do thrilling comeback, but Inspire's a good one because Steven inspires his men. He inspires other soldiers into action. He is a leader, you know, so Inspire works well. Second Wind is fine, but I would also go with Takedown. Either one would work here. And then finally, you could give him Catapult. I don't think there's a problem with that, but I also give him Morale Booster, because once again, Morale Booster is just, he's the inspirer. He's the one who makes people glad to be on the field. Once he takes the field, it's like, hey man, it's going to be all right. Steven's here. He's got our back. The righteous lion has taken the field, you know? All right, so for executions, I give him Alarius' Wrath, mostly because of two reasons. Number one, it's like when he was fighting the Conqueror, he's just beating down this Conqueror who was breaking the rules, who was trying to hurt an innocent child. He can't stand it. But also because in his story, when I was writing Steven's own personal story before he met Ruth and after he adopted Ruth, there's a scene where he beats someone unconscious with his fist, so I thought that this would fit him well. I used the Backhand Strike. It's just a quick and easy execution, and it looks very believable, and I could totally see Steven doing it. Manus Manum Sakat. This one I really like because one thing that I think about Steven is he's an old dog, you know, especially as he's raising Ruth. He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's mature. He's probably in his mid to late 40s, maybe brushing up on his 50s. I haven't put an exact number to his age, but you know, he's this weathered veteran, and you know, he's not going to have all these fancy, cool, specialized moves. He's going to be very methodical, very slow, and I like this kind of process that he goes through. So you see this enemy running up and grabbing him, like, I've got you. He just slides the blade through, slice, takes a moment to take in some breath, cuts off his head, and I feel like that very much fits who Steven is. And then finally, a moment of silence. Again, this slow, methodical kind of takedown of the opponent, but also respect. Steven is a righteous judge. That does not mean that he is cold-hearted. It does not mean that he's going to insult you. He's a man who's earned the moniker that he has. So I think that this is a very solid execution for Steven. For emotes, I give him Victory and Recognition. Pretty simple. They're basic ones that you can give. I just thought that they worked very well. And then for combat, I give him Blade Homage and Twirl. He's skilled. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And then for signature, I gave him Lethia's Fate. Now, the reason I gave him Lethia's Fate and not something else is because to Ruth and to many wardens in Ashfeld, Steven is an icon. He's someone that they look up to and respect. So the idea that he's solidified in their minds, like this statue of him, I felt like, you know, he's just become a symbol to a lot of them, someone they look up to, someone they follow, someone that they have so much respect for. So I thought that this would be a great way to sort of show that. But another one you can do is you can do A Night to Remember and Allegiance to Ashfeld. Any of those would also do just fine. But I did Lethia's Fate just because I thought that fit so well. Alright, and finally for effects. You don't need any effects for the executions or emotes, but I did give him the Sunbeam effect for his idol. Because once again, he is this guy that you just look up to. You just see him on the field, and it's just like, wow, there he is. You know, He is a paragon. That's really what he is. He is paragon for life. Or what was it that Goku said in the abridged? Paragon till death. I don't remember, but anyway, point is, that is how you build Stephen the righteous lion and the father of Ruth. You can kind of see why I wrote him the way I did. He's this kind of person that embodies... One thing that I thought about when I was writing Ruth was, what kind of man could inspire Ruth so much? It's not just that he saved her life and adopted her. What kind of man would adopt her? You know, what kind of man would have that disposition or that mentality or that desire to take care of this girl who, for all intents and purposes, does not belong with them? He took this girl who was who was born among Vikings, and said, there's someone here who could become something better than she is, who would actually kill one of his own comrades for trying to kill her, who would inspire people. Like when I wrote the Ruth meets Havoc story, Havoc mentioned that Stephen was someone even his character could look up to, you know, that you know, and I thought that when I was creating Stephen, I wanted him to embody this paragon-like virtue and identity, and I think that this design really brings that out. What do you guys think? Do you like the way Stephen looks? Would you edit him in any way? Would you be willing to build Stephen in your own roster? Let me know down in the comments below. Would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and let me know what you think of Stephen and Ruth, of course, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.